Makadimose muri yeZimbabwe kusangana zvekare pano pachivhitivhiti chenyu paTV yenyu patinokupai nyaya nenhoroondo dzinenge dzichiitika munyika yeZimbabwe. Zvino Constitutional Amendment Bill rava Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa ropikisana neConstitution yeZanu PF, apo patiri kuona kuti Constitution yeZanu PF iri kutopokana nezviri kuitwa nava Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa nemaassociates avo, nekuda kwekuti maassociates ava Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa ari kuteerera mari language yemari havasi kuteerera zviri kubva mumagwaro eZanu PF. Zvakubudisa pachena kuti ruzhinji rwose ruri kusapota nyaya ya2030 vari kungosapota, asi havasi kuziva kuti constitution yebato ravo inoti kudii panyaya yezvinhu zvakafanana naizvozvo. Ndofunga mhuri yeZimbabwe makore maviri 2024 na2025 takaona maconference yekutanga yakaitira kuBulawayo, yechipiri yakaitirwa kwaMutare, asi zvinhu izvozvo zvaitwa ZANU PF kutaura kuti takaita makongress maviri takabvumirana takazoda iso, but pane zvimwe zvinhu zvisina kuitwa zviri kunzi kubvumirana kwavari kutaura vakabvumirana pamwe chete nemaresolution avari kutaura nezvawo iwayo. Zviri kunzi maresolution aya haaitwe neconference asi zvinoitwa nekongresi. Saka kana paitwa kongresi ndo panozotaurwa zvese izvi zviri kutauriwa nevanhu vaEmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa vachizama kuda kuvhiringa constitution yakaiswa navanhu, vachizama kuda kuba. Asi kwete chimwe chinhu chatoda kuti tinge tichionesana mhuri yeZimbabwe, imi munogara muchititirira pano. Ndofunga munoziva kune mukomana uyo akanga achibata vanhu vanoita zvemadrugs nekuba mutauni, uyo ari kunzi Tafadzwa Chidawa. Tafadzwa Chidawa ari kubuda ari against vanhu, ari kusapota bato re2030, ari kusapota zvigananda, ari kuzama kuvhiringidza vanhu vari kuda kuti vadzidzise vanhu, vadzidzise vana veZimbabwe. Ari kuzama kuuya achipa mufungiro wake achizama kuda kudhevheta vanhu, atizive kuti ipolitical career yake here yaakuda kusimudzira, sezvo akambenge ari kansela rekanoti MP, achida kuita MP weZANU PF, asi zvinhu zvaari kuita zvinhu zvisiri kufadza ruzhinji rweZimbabwe. Right, nyaya iyi ndikuitora papi? Tina Rutendo Benson Matinyarare ndiye ari kuya nenyaya achibudisa kuti there is definitely a violation in Central Committee implementing conference resolution because it's only allowed to implement policies, resolution, directive, decision and program enunciated only by Congress, not conference. Rega tipinde pasection yacho iyoyo yeconstitution yeZANU PF pa37 section 2 iruka yachiti implement all policies, resolution, directives, decisions and programs enunciated by Congress, not conference. Muri kunzinzwisa zvandikutaura. So ndo mamiriro zvakaita ZANU PF iri kuda kutaura zvinhu zvakaitwa kuconference noti zvakaitwa pacongress. So zvinhu zvinofanira kunge zvitaura neZANU PF ndo zvakaitwa pacongress ka congress yacho hapana, vari kuita maconference. So vari kuzama kuda kuvhiringidza vanhu nekuti vanhu havazive. Saka Rutendo Matinyarare ari kuzama kubuditsa chokwadi chake chese, ari kuzama kubika bhinzi against zvigananda. So kubuda kwaRutendo Matinyarare musaga, I think ane vakamuonesa, I think akastada ground, I think ane zvaakaona kuti chitanda chaEmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa chapedyo nekutorwa. Saka regai tiende kusaidi revanhu, because they akaramba achisapota zvigananda zvasikazomire zvakanaka. Naizvozvo mhuri yeZimbabwe tichakusiyai makateerera kubva kumakomeredzi edu atinouya nawo ndofunga each and every day pano pachivhitivhiti chenje.
It's like, why are you bringing an advocate? Come alone. We know you. My boss knows you. He doesn't know your advocate. I said, no, I want to bring my advocate because if I don't travel with my advocate, once we start talking money, there's always going to be an assumption that I've stolen the money and eaten the money alone.
Right.
My friend says, leave your advocate. Moreover, we can get you better advocates. This guy of yours is not right. He's not that great. So why you want to bring him? I said, he's the one I want to work with. And moreover, I'm being given him by the system and I get along with him. Because for me, my advocate was one of the few people who was willing to go against the Americans in a court. He's a person who didn't want a US visa. So there were very few people like that. And he was smart and streetwise. Anyway, my friend then eventually accepts and he gets us 2 tickets. And there are photos of me and my advocate on a plane, business class, coming back to Harare. From there, we went to our meeting. In the meeting, I'm asked, right, how much do you guys need for this fight? I said, I refuse to speak. Here is the advocate. I want the advocate to speak. Advocate begins to speak. This is how much we need. And I think the number was about $6 million because we were competing with people who had about a kitty of about 24 million and above. All the banks, Biden himself, and the other members of government in the South African banks represented by the Banking Association of South Africa. The guy then, the businessman then says, fine, this is not a lot of money, but I refuse to pay for all of it alone. Because if I pay for all of it alone, it's going to look like I am in an agenda to personalize this fight. Yet this fight is a national fight. I want you to focus on bringing sanctions down from the country. And then when you are done, you deal with us as the individuals. But for now, let's remove the sanctions on the people on the country.
Right.
But he says that, but in the same meeting, he also says, but guys, don't be too quick to remove these sanctions. Because right now we are in a place where we are buying companies cheap. It is an opportunity that is a once in a lifetime. And if we don't get these companies now, if you remove the sanctions too quickly, foreigners will come in and foreign capital will come in. They'll buy all these companies, all these local businesses.
Is this the time when SADC it gotten involved, said the 25th of is it on 25th of October date to say that we want Zimbabwe sanctions to go, and yet inside we've got individuals who want sanctions to remain.
Right. So he then says, as a starting point, how much work have you done, lawyers, so that I can pay you that money now and pay off what you've already done? Because irrespective of the fact that the president had not given us a go-ahead, what had happened is CIO has got a guy who had gone, and he's a guy who's in the papers, Linus Mafum. He had gone to the media, and he had made the media publish that Rutendo Matinyarara and Simba Chitando have launched a case against the United States government.
Yes.
That had gone public, I think, in January already. So there was already pressure and expectation for us to be in a case. And the president ended up approved. Then Simba Chitando went ahead and launched the case the moment he knew I had gone for a meeting in Harare and seen the president, he launched the case even before the approval came through. So by the time we went back, there was already a response from the banks. And the banks were saying, we have got sanctions on not Zimbabwe, but Zimbabweans who are corrupt. And the person who's corrupt is this, the advisor of the president.
Oh dear.
And it's written in the papers. And they're giving their reasons. Although we are saying, but you are punishing him without trial, so that's illegal according to the South African Constitution. So Simba now had to present this to the principal to say, your name is there, your company is there, and so we need a response, we need an affidavit to respond, and we've already done work. So the guy says, how much work have you done? Tell me a number. I'll give you that now. Then you go back and then I will send you the money to finish everything off. And I will go, there's a kitty that I know somewhere in one of the departments that has got a kitty specifically, a slush fund for the kind of activities that you're doing. I sit on that board. I'll make sure that money is released.
Right.
So the 6 million you guys need for this battle, it's secured. I said, fine. So the advocate gives a number, says that this is the money that is required. The advocate was on an understanding that everything you charge, you must make sure that 50% of that will come to me for my marketing, my strategy, and my work and lobby.
Excellent.
But when the money was paid, the advocate was going through a patch. So I didn't want the advocate to be worried about rentals and to be worried about other issues because he'll be forced to do other cases and not focus on this case. So I forfeited my 50% and I gave it to the advocate and said, you do the legal stuff, pay yourself and the lawyers in South Africa, focus only on this case, and then I will recoup my money some other time in future. Because I was not in a bad financial situation. One, I had been paid the 100,000 to do the proposal, and there were other monies coming from other places. So,
is there a trail for all these things? Is there a trail?
Yeah, absolutely, a paper trail for everything.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So from that money that was paid, that's when we then paid my friend his percentage from that. And we paid him 10% of what was due to the advocate and not what was due to the South Africans.
Ah.
Right. And of course, he was saying, I've done the work. I run around, I come pick you up from the airport, I put you up in the hotels, I make sure you're happy, which is fair. All right. But it was also just a token of appreciation. And so that was that. The case starts going on. The advocates go wild over and above the work that they'd been paid for. They started working. The banks are responding. They responded back to the banks, and so forth. 8 months down the lane, we're still not paid
Wow.
the rest of
Okay.
the money. The
Mm-hmm.
advocates have now done 10 times work, and I see Tabani Mpofu here. He knows that lawyers don't work without being paid or without a deposit, right?
Oh, exactly. I support them. My
But
missus is a lawyer. She tells you, "Good, Maripa Mberi mdara."
But Chitando understood that this case was a landmark case for the country. And he knew that we were dealing with people with real money, and so we will be paid ultimately. And the president has approved the work, so we will get paid at the end of the day. So the job continues. I then begin to put pressure because the South African guys are now saying, we don't want to keep working without money. Because some of us, we do live hand to mouth and we need money.
We need money,
I
yes.
start putting pressure on our principal. But I go to my friend. Friend, we're not getting paid. Friend is dilly dallying, doesn't understand the pressure that we are in South Africa and the threats to go to media. So I skip him. The boss had given me another person. He's got another businessman who had put me. I said, "You're wasting my time giving me my friend here, Maponga, and this other gentleman. These guys are just not getting results. I want money because these guys are putting pressure. And the assumption is that you've given me the rest of the money, and I've used it. That is the pressure I'm getting. They are under the belief that I've been coming to you alone, getting money, and I'm using it."
Right.
You see? So this is when Temba comes in. Temba comes in at the
Before Temba, comes in, I want to ask about, the friend, because I'm seeing, in the comment section, the friend is saying, in the meantime, I was paying. He was making some monetary contributions. What was going on, right there?
no, he's not telling the truth. My
Okay.
friend is employed by the billionaire. He works for the
Ah,
billionaire. The
okay.
billionaire has got no bill that he expects this guy to pay on his behalf. He's an
All right.
employee of the billionaire. He
Ah,
cannot be paying on behalf of the billionaire.
right.
I've never taken any money from my friend, except when he's bought a T-shirt from my anti-sanctions movement.
Yes.
So for him to say he was paying nothing, because that would imply that the billionaire does not have money to pay his own way. That
Is
doesn't
this
make
not
sense.
is this not where Temba comes in and say, because of the sanctions on the wife and
Right.
so
Tem-
the
yeah.
billionaire now does not have money.
Temba comes in the aspect that he comes to Joburg, meets me. Temba is interested in my relationship with the billionaire, and he's trying to ensconce himself in the middle so that he can make money as well. Because he's under the
Oh,
impression that me and my friend are making
you're
so
making a
much
killing.
money and he's excluded from this process. But in our
Right.
meeting with the principal says, you guys don't talk too much about this relationship. And you, Rutendo, I know you're friends with Temba. Don't tell Temba what's happening here, because the moment he knows that you and I know each other, he's gonna want to bring himself in to make money as well. He had also warned, he has
Yeah.
also warned me about my friend to say, my friend, whenever I give you money, don't give him